race must perish.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants. You know, when I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks. But don't tell me something that you think I'm supposed to.
Hear my song for Stephen Lawrence, a fine young British boy.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone.
Smith Barney, Merrill Lynch, Bristol Myers, Maytag, Craftmaster, DuPont, MCI, SBC. When they declared a war on drugs, my nigga, they declared war on us.
I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it, my life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil crisis. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Blessed family, yes. This is Anthony Olatunji, upon a Wednesday evening with the more raw than what you bargained for late night show. So yes, family, yes, blessed family. So yes, I'm blessed family. This is Anthony Olatunji with a more raw than what you bargained for late night show. Letting you know that this is how we're gonna go. To begin with this evening, that was a track by a crew from not too far away from here. Daddy Freddy was on that track. We used to stay in Nottingham for a little while. Also Samurai from just down the road in Derby. And also a brother called Hunt Kilberry Finn from the crew from back in the day called Catch 22. If you can remember that. That brother's called Hunt Kilberry Finn. As in Hunt Kilberry, finish them. Bring them, bury them deep and finish them one time. So what I'd like to do this evening is play for you one or two little kind of differently track. This track here, Dead Prez.
Drug offenders mean more prisoners, and more prisoners mean more prisons built. More wood, more concrete and iron. More trucks, more gas, more Han.
And I just want you to kick back and sit back and think about what the brother's talking about, what the crew them are talking about. They're talking about how crack cocaine came into the African Caribbean community, came into the African American community as a result of design. Crack cocaine came into the community by design. Then you had some brothers, some wolf-like brothers who saw the crack cocaine as an opportunity. After all, we got to eat, right? After all, we got babies to feed, right? After all, we've all got to do what we've got to do to pay the bills, right? So some brothers saw the opportunity of purchasing and reselling crack cocaine as a perfectly legitimate thing to do. So they did it. And they sung about it. They rapped about it. Some of them lived large by it. But by and large, the majority of the ones in which were selling crack didn't really understand that they were being played like pawns in a game. It was a game that was being played on a geostrategical global level. It was a game that was being orchestrated by the very highest circles. It was people like Ronald Reagan. It was people like George Clinton. It was people like the presidents of the United Snakes of Satan that were orchestrating these games. But for the jiggers in the ghetto, hell, the jobs were gone. The schools were kicking out the young blacks. Ganja sales were not really paying the bills so well. You had to work twice as hard selling good cushion pain than what you did slinging cane. So enough of the mans have started to sell the bad boys, started to do some road work, selling crack and skack and cocaine. As if it was gonna pay the bills for them. And when they got the money from the sale of the dirty substance, what were the mans them doing with it? A lot of them were just flossing. A lot of them were just high rolling. A lot of them were just spending the money like there was no tomorrow. Because when you're a living dead, when you're an individual which is living dead, then really there is no tomorrow. And you live for now because there is no tomorrow. So nothing really happened with the money. Just like what happens in the community with our people today. When you get paid from slaving on the plantation for the European crackerjack, peckerwood master, when you get paid, what you tend to do is take your money straight back to them. It's take your, if you get paid for working in the system, rather than do like Brother Anthony Olatunji don't tell you way back in the day on the More Road and What You Bargained For late night show, and buy black for at least one day a week. At least one day a month. If you can't manage one Rackle George day in the week, then at least please one day in the month. Rather than buying black, they were just giving it back to the crackerjack or to wherever they could get rid of it. They would go and buy a Mercedes car, go and buy a BMW car, go and buy some flash trash clothes, go and buy some 9-carat gold, go buy some frills and some bling things, go and buy some whatever. But dash with the money, take the money, take the money to the Jewish quarter and buy jewelry. Take the money downtown to Dolce & Gabbana, to Imani, to Versace, and all of these European faggoty freaks, and go spend the money with these designer freaks. Yeah, check the words I speak. Like I said from a long time, look, this is the More Raw Than What You Bargained For show, and Insight Radio cannot be held responsible for any word that I say on this show, and I, Anthony Olatunji, will be held responsible, culpable for any word, sound, power, action which I say and do on this radio show. Because I'm not saying nothing which is not my opinion. I'm just saying my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion, right? Just because it might throw in the face of popular culture or popular mainstream media, popular daydream media fluff and stuff. Don't make that worry you. I'm not gonna curse no bad word. You might get the original, you might get the occasional bomber. Because we're living in a raw situation, and that's the real. But I'm not gonna cuss no bad word unnecessary. And like Brother Malcolm said, by any means necessary. We gotta do what we gotta do to wake the stuff up, to wake the fluff up. That's what we gotta do. And I appreciate the fact that Insight Radio, give thanks to the Insight Radio and other community radio stations which are there for the community. I appreciate you. And I give thanks for you for giving man's little airtime. Because we need to have more commentators. We need to have more social activists out there. We need to have more of our media personnel talking the truth. Talking the raw pure. Talking the uncouth. Talking the uncooked. Like.
In 1984, when the crack was going and the crime was going, they started privatizing prisons. So corporate America got involved in prison for profit. So you know what the greatest growth industry in America is? Prisons. Now look, brothers, any of you in business, if you're going to set up a McDonald's, what do? You got to check and see what kind of foot traffic or car traffic you have so that you know you don't put it in a desolate area, right? The feasibility studies that were done says that since there's more crack in the black community, and they're fermenting or fomenting gang violence, and there's more guns in the black community, then if we give unusually long sentences for crack cocaine, then we got 5 years, 10 years, maybe life, and we got us a slave. Because now we're going to tie prison to industry.
I'm not afraid to tell it. I'm going to tell you like how I see it. I'm not going to tell you some ideas from somebody else. I'm going to tell you what's real to me. And the way I feel right now, blood, when I listen to that track there from the dead president, the intro where he's talking about the wolf licking on the sword and starts to drink the blood, and the blood is like the crack cocaine in the community where young jiggers are selling the crack cocaine, thinking they're doing right, thinking they're making money, thinking they're boosting up themselves and boosting up their community by selling this death and this wickedness, when really they are just like the real wolf. And they are just killing themselves. They're eating. Them a feed. But they're not taking heed to the fact that it's them that is bleeding. It's them that needs feeding. But they're killing themselves, Star. They feel that, by selling crack. This is you. This is roadman. This is young mans nowadays. And you know what? By and large, a lot of us, a lot of the parents, a lot of the so-called elders who sit down and do nothing. A lot of the so-called elders who will sit down and pass judgment and criticize the youth. A lot of you brutes are to blame. And do you know why you're to blame? Because when it came to Black Tuesday, when it came to spending a black pound in a black business, in a black shop, you just was not there. You just did not do it. You couldn't be bothered to do it. You'd rather go to Mr. Patel. You'd rather go to Mr. W.H. Smith. You'd rather go somewhere else than to your own peoples. You'd rather see our people struggling, and you'd rather see our peoples juggling. You'd rather see our people, you'd rather see them doing something, struggling hard, thinking, you know what, we've all got to struggle, because we all are suffering. So you need to come out of that mentality, first of all. And then the next mentality is what? Man, I forget rich and switch. So you wanna get a big job in the plantation and get a big car and a big house in some area and remove yourself from your people, from your kith and kin. This is just madness. This is just hilarious. If it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. But it's not funny, son. It's not funny, Pops. It's not funny, Dad. It's not funny, uncle, auntie, mother, sister. Look what I'm telling you, it's the real. The elders, that means you. That means your pops. That means your uncle. That means me. That means we have an infallible responsibility, an unshakable responsibility to the youngers, to give them an opportunity, to give them the opportunities that we did not have. So there's no reason, there's no point. It's oh, it's okay, it's all well sitting back, kicking back and just criticizing. Saying, oh, the youth nowadays ain't got no respect. The youth nowadays, they ain't got no manners. Oh, the youth nowadays, they're good for nothing. Oh, the youth nowadays, them can't do nothing. Oh, the youth nowadays, blah, 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 the bum, blah, blah. What it is, it's you nowadays. You still ain't show the youth them no proper example. You ain't showed them no Kuji Jagolia. You haven't shown them no collective work and self-determination. You haven't given them no opportunity. You haven't given them a right and proper path to follow. But yo, let me just continue with this train of thought. Let me just continue with this train of thought. Now I will say, and I've said it from way back in the day, this is how I feel, blood. This is me. This is real. This is how I feel from way back in the day. I remember the times before the bad boy, before the scat, before the crack came onto the street. I remember there used to be the friendly neighborhood ganja dealer. It's true. I said it. Yeah, I said it. There used to be a friendly neighborhood ganja dealer, a good righteous brother or a good righteous sister who you could go to and go and get your good cushion pain. I remember them tunes that pass your cushion pain, pass it up your blood. It was the good something something. And you could go and see them and you could go and get them a little something and you could come back tomorrow and pay them the rest of the something. And yo, it wasn't a blood cutthroat, it wasn't a bloodthirsty cutthroat business. They were part of your community. They were part of your unity. They were part of your vibe. That's why these international conglomerates, that's why these international bloodsuckers of the poor, that's why these presidents, that's why these Secret Service agents started to send this bad boy, this skag and this crack and this heroin hardcore into the ghettos. They wanted to break down, they wanted to shake down, they wanted to smash up this community spirit. And you know what? By and large, they were quite successful. Because what would happen is that, you know, you've always got one dirty heart, man. You've always got one cold heart, dog heart individual in a group. Like you've always got one Judas in a group of 12. You'd have this one individual in the community that always wanted money more than somebody else. That cared more for the money, more for the material than his own social structure, than his own family, than his own friends, than the people that he was eating with and grew with and moved with. You know? He'd prefer the money than the camaraderie, then the fellowship, then the socialization, prefer the money. So when the skag, when the bad boy came, these were the mans then which were targeted by the intelligence services. These were the Rackle George man them that were targeted by the police. You think it's a joke? You think I'm talking fluff? Yo, sir, check yourself. If you were selling crack, if you were selling hate, if you were selling any of these dirty drugs in any stage in your life, then yo, you need to answer to who? And you don't need to answer to me. But you can't come and drink a cup of tea with tea. No blessing. You can't come and sit down at my table and tell me about your fables and your stories. I want to hear your dirty raw story. And yet, by and large, yes, once again, by and large, these are the stories which were being fed in the daydream, mainstream, dirty mainstream media. These are the stories that they're feeding our youth in the music, in the film, in the whatever. Remember that film New Jack City? New Jack City, starring Wesley Snipes and Ice-T and other members of the black rap fraternity way back in the day? Remember that film? They're showing you that, you know what, mans can be king of New York, mans can be this, that and the other. But there was certain truth that was spit in that film, you know.
I mean, come on, let's stick to ballistics here. Ain't no Uzis made in Harlem. I mean, not one of us in here owns a poppy field. This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is big business.
Hey, dreadlocks. With a bomb buck, I don't say my joke.
New Jack City.
When I think of New Jack City, terror, getting asked to do a movie and not being an actor.
This ain't business, bitch. This is personal.
So amazed at how many people actually were affected by the movie.
Rasta man, I'm here to tell you Nino Brown says your services are no longer needed in the community.
Who the bomb clot? Oh! Everything was right with New Jack City.
Can't believe they paid me for it. It's
not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a death thing.
I was scared.
Yeah, now that's how you kill somebody, my brothers. You get right up on the motherfucker and bam! Throw his brains all over the sidewalk in broad daylight.
Rock the block, baby.
But I was forced into this way of life. Hey, look, I've been dealing drugs ever since I was 12 years old. See, I didn't have the chances that you have, Miss Hawkins. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Miss Hawkins.
There was certain truth that was hitting that film, you know. I don't want to talk too much about the film. I want to talk about the real. And the real is that what?
This is the American way.
I'm telling you, it's my heartfelt resolution that the mans them that were selling crack, selling skag, them a dirty heart, dog heart, jackal-hearted individual. And we dash fire upon them, we sauce upon them. And that's me, bro. That's my judgment. And my judgment comes from my mouth, my word, my sound, my power. And the same judge that I judge, I shall be judged. So if you ever see me, hear me do any dirtiness, any nastiness, any jackal-hearted, dog-hearted, something, then come, cast the judgment upon me. Because from the time you deal with death, then it's death that's in your soul. From the time you deal with death, then it's death that is your goal. Is that, may I tell you? Then you get some brothers and say, you know what, brother Anthony Olatunji, I can hear you people, I can feel you people. I can hear you right now telling me, oh, shouting out, your conscience is burning. And your mind is running, and your conscience is burning. You're thinking, you know what, it's not our fault. It's not we're not culpable, we're not responsible. Because we were dealt a bad card. We were dealt a bad card. We were drawn, like Bob Marley said, don't make me draw no bad card. Look, if you're going to draw a bad card, if you're going to deal with death, then that is your choice. And the decisions that you make and the path that you take will determine whether you're real or whether you're fake or whether you make or whether you break it. That's you. You do you, blood. I can't do you. I can only do me. And even sometimes, even that's hard enough. Anthony Olatunji upon a Wednesday with a more raw than what you bargained for show. Sometimes that's tough enough. But I'm telling you, from the time you sell them dirty something there, may I sauce upon you, may I burn upon you, may I dash fire upon you. And I'm not going to say, you know what, blood, that the Judas amongst us must be forgiven. That's for the God to forgive. I'm just a man, so I have to live. I'm going to say, look, forgive we have to live, yes. But we just can't forget. Just like your conscience. If you've felt them dirtiness before, you might try and do some righteousness. To try and overcome the wickedness that you've done. And the God might forgive you for that. Possibly the God, maybe he, maybe she, maybe the goddess, maybe they will forgive you for your wickedness. For your tempestuous ways. For your malfeasance. For your malevolence. For your wickedness. For your dog heart. For your jackal face, bad brain, something. But yo, I'm telling you from now, from the time you sit down, from the time you're selling bad boy, from the time you're selling crack. This is for jiggers in the UK and for those jiggers in the United Snakes of Satan. From the US of Satan, United Snakes of America. This is for you snakes and you paracats and you death dealers over there. From the time you sell the crack, yo, then you're doing the devil's work for them. Because you're a pawn in the game. You're a pawn in the game. And what happens in a game of, let's just call it chess, is that the pawns, blessed, the pawns are the first to be sacrificed. I said it once, I'm going to say it twice. The pawns are the ones to be sacrificed. And yet you're going to continue selling this death thinking, yeah, you're going to pay the bills, you're going to send your youths to school, you're going to do right and do this. No. Just like the wolf that's licking the sword and starts to then drink its own blood. That's what you're doing to your community. You're killing your own community. From the time you kill your own community, yo, there's no immunity for that. There's no escaping from that. Your conscience will not let you run away from that. And that's the actual fact. I'm not your conscience, beloved. I don't know you, but I know you. I can see your face. I can look in your eye. I know if you're a roadman, if you're a dirty man, if you're a jackal-hearted, dog-faced beast. And that's the real. I don't know how I can know that. I don't know why I know that. But you know, this certain man, the certain gal is just dirty because they're selling death and they're dealing with death. Now, I'm not going to castigate my own people. All I'm going to say is, look, if you're dealing with the dirty, if you're dealing with the death, it's time, it's high time, it's past time, it's my time, it's your time to wake up and shake up and take off those cobwebs from your brain and wake up and do what's correct from now, because it's never too late to come correct. But you can never undo what has been done. And that's the real. You know, when you've done wickedness, when you've done badness to your relationship, to your partner, to your family, to your people, you can always apologize. And yes, we have to forgive. But you know, there's always that hole that's been left. There's always that devastation that's been made. There's always that trauma that's been experienced. And you can't undo the trauma. You can't undo the pain. You can't undo the madness. Because, you know, right now, it seems that fire is in my mind. Fire is in my heart. And it's more fire. That's what we have to use to burn out the dope of them. Burn out the demon them. We have to burn out the demon them. Burn out the dope of them. Burn out the dog heart, jackal face, demon death dealers. That's all we have to do, blessed.
So we will have a fat bottom line on the back of niggas. I know some of you are in the armed forces and they've offered you a job, and we thank them. But you're going to have to find another employer, because he's getting you ready for the frying pan, making a killer out of you, and then bringing you back from Europe because they don't need you over there no more, and setting you in your own community, then filling the community with drugs and guns, and since you are trained killers, then kill each other. And that's exactly what you've been doing. And you think it's an accident? No! It's by design. And because you don't know yourself and don't know them and don't know the time and what must be done, you fall right into the plan and become agents of your own destruction. Hear me. You know that the Muslims in Washington went into a dope-ridden project development, and without guns, God blessed us to do what? Clean it up. And you know who our worst enemy was? The police. They came and drew guns on the brothers who were unarmed. And the brothers never backed down, though they never had a gun. In Baltimore, in New York, in Pittsburgh, in Los Angeles, everywhere the brothers went, the brothers who deal in drugs, they respect the nation, and without any force, because we know that we come from that. We're not there to throw down on our brothers. We just want to clean up the neighborhood. The government did not care what kind of good job the brothers were doing, because we were interfering with the conspiracy. So under the name anti-Semitism, They took the brothers out of all these projects, and the moment the brothers left, the drugs came back, the gangs came back, and the killing came back, because that is what the U.S. government wants to see continue among us.
The Black Panthers are recruiting criminals and hoodlums and encouraging them to engage in a broad range of terrorist activities. They are the greatest threat to the internal security of this country. We want to make it clear to black youth that if they want to be revolutionaries, they will be dead revolutionaries.
You know? And at the end of the day, I will say this to you. God-fearing family, God-loving community. God is inside yourself. The God dwells within. So just try and keep yourself correct. Step correct. You know what I'm saying? You know, we say positive education always corrects errors. So if you're a demon-hearted dog selling dirty, nasty cracker jack, cracks dealing, dirty skag selling individual from the past, if you are, then yo brother, then yo sister, I'm going to tell you now, positive education always corrects errors. It's never too long. It's never too late to correct your errors. You know, it's never too late. And you know what I'm saying? It's better late than never. So it's high time to catch wise and be clever. So blessed, I want to tell you that how I started off was telling you that, yo, we're all pawns in the game. I'm not pointing a finger at no one, because every time I point one finger, there's 3-4 fingers pointing straight back at myself. And I'm no holier than thou individual, but there's certain levels, there's certain lines mans will not cross. The reason that certain individuals cross them line there because they're a dog heart, because they were tempted, because they've been seduced, because they've been took, because they've been had, because they've been hoodwinked, because they were bamboozled, because they were confused, because they were abused, because they were victims. Call it whatever you want to call it. There are no excuses. But because you got played like a chump. You got played like a chump. That's how the government came into our communities and set up these factions of disunity in and amongst us. They separated the good neighborhood friendly ganja dealer from the heart of the community, and they brought in the dirty dog heart materialistic stone-faced killers who used to sell the crack or sell the bad boy like it's something that's easy. Because you know what, bless, I'm going to talk more on this. Let's take a little chill right now, and I'm going to play you a track which I just heard for the first time last week, even by mistake. And it's such a beautiful track, and it's called Corporate America. And it's one of those, I must say, I'll say this from the bottom of my heart, it's one of the heaviest tracks. It's one of the heaviest tracks I've heard in a long time. And this track, to me, as far as I'm concerned, needs to go down in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. So without further ado, I'm going to bring it true right now. And it's Corporate America, the prison industrial complex. Here it is, bless.
Merrill Lynch. When they declared a war on drugs, my nigga, they declared war on us. Drug offenders mean more prisoners, and more prisoners mean more prisons built. More wood, more concrete and iron. More trucks, more gas, more hind. Framers, plumbers, electricians, consultants, advisors, technicians. More guards, more guns. Pass more laws to lock up more niggas, and that's more fun.